What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. UFC legend Glover Teixeira is not happy with Khamzat. Recently, Glover appeared on the UFC Glory Days podcast with RJ Clifford and gave his honest thoughts about the rising star. While Glover made sure to praise Khamzat's talent and charisma, he also pointed out something that bothered him about the way Khamzat trains. During the interview, Glover explained that Khamzat is undoubtedly one of the most exciting fighters in the game right now. He said that he likes Khamzat's energy, confidence, and how he always backs up his talk inside the Octagon. According to Glover, Khamzat is a great fighter who delivers on his promises, and his performances continue to prove just how dangerous he is. However, Glover admitted that there's one thing he doesn't really like about Khamzat, the way he spars with his training partners. Glover mentioned that he's seen Khamzat go too hard on sparring partners who are not on his level, and that's something he personally doesn't respect much. He said, "He's great. I like the way he talks and he backs it up. He's an amazing fighter, but sometimes I see him sparring against guys who aren't even close to his level, and he's going really hard on them. That's the one thing I don't like." Glover added that Khamzat doesn't need to prove himself in the gym against people who are simply trying to help him prepare, as it doesn't reflect well on a fighter of his caliber. Still, Glover made sure to acknowledge Khamzat's talent, saying he's an incredible competitor and very good on the microphone too. He respects what Khamzat has accomplished and believes he's great for the sport, but he feels that respecting your training partners is just as important as dominating your opponents in the cage. Glover's comments have sparked mixed reactions in the MMA community, with some agreeing that Khamzat's intensity in the gym can cross a line, while others believe it's just part of what makes him so successful. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Mauricio Ruffy may have accidentally leaked his next UFC fight date. During an appearance on the Other Fighting Nerds podcast, Ruffy revealed that he's set to compete in Australia early next year. He explained that while the contract hasn't been officially signed yet, everything is nearly finalized. Ruffy said, "We're at the final details, just waiting for the contract, but I'll be fighting in the first week of February in Australia. It's a very good fight." Though he didn't mention his opponent, fans are already speculating who he might face next. Ruffy is looking to bounce back strong after his recent submission loss to Benoit St. Denis, and a fight in Australia could be the perfect opportunity to make a big statement. For now, all signs point toward an official announcement coming very soon, as Ruffy prepares for his return to the Octagon. Moving on to another news, Michael Bisping has proposed a potential date for the highly anticipated rematch between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Speaking on his Believe You Me podcast, Bisping said the UFC should waste no time and book the fight for UFC 323 in December. He believes the rematch will be even bigger than the first bout and suggested that the promotion should capitalize on the momentum. While both fighters are still in peak condition, Bisping explained that the UFC could easily place the fight at Madison Square Garden or on the traditional end-of-the-year card, which usually delivers massive pay-per-view numbers. He said they could put it on MSG, they could make it the final big event of the year. Stick it on ESPN, go out with a bang. 3 title fights on one card. That would be incredible. He even mentioned that the card already features big matchups like Pantoja versus Joshua Van and Merab versus Poran, but adding Aspinall versus Gane would make it one of the most stacked cards of the year. According to Bisping, the timing is perfect for both heavyweights to jump right back into camp and build on what they learned from their first encounter. They've got to run it back nice and soon, he said. Both men were looking good. They can take lessons from what happened, tweak their game, and come back even stronger. Bisping also broke down the early moments of the original fight, noting that Ciryl was able to stop Aspinall's takedown attempts in the first round. We know Ciryl can stop a takedown, but could he have done it in rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 when he started to get tired? We don't know, but in round 1, he looked sharp. He added that the matchup was shaping up to be phenomenal before it ended unexpectedly, and that's exactly why fans deserve to see it again, sooner rather than later. Moving on to another news, Jorge Masvidal has his sights set on a massive return, and he's hoping it happens on one of the biggest stages in MMA history, the White House fight card. The former UFC star recently launched his own podcast, Defro MMA, and during the debut episode with Henry Cejudo, Masvidal opened up about his fighting plans and revealed he's aiming for a comeback against his old rival, Leon Edwards. Fans can watch the full episode on Masvidal's YouTube channel, where he spoke passionately about getting back into action. During the conversation, Cejudo asked whether fans might actually see the 3-piece and a soda rematch at the White House event. Masvidal didn't hold back. "Your boy's been training," he said confidently. "I'll tell you that much, man. Been like 2-3 months now just grinding. I want in on that June card. Trump's calling everybody, so you know I gotta get on this one. I'm just staying focused, staying in shape, brother. Hopefully everything works out." Cejudo pressed him further, asking if he specifically wanted Leon for that card or just wanted to be a part of the event. Masvidal made it clear that even though Leon no longer holds the title, that's still a fight he wants. "Leon don't got the belt no more, but I still always want to throw down with Leon, you know? We've got that history, and I've never had any real ill will towards him. I've always said that. I still don't have any ill will will now, but I'd love to punch him in the face and just settle all that stuff once and for all. Let him get his shots in too, you know? But I'd love to finally close that chapter. Masvidal added that if the fight with Leon doesn't happen, he's open to anyone who wants to scrap. If it's not Leon, I don't care, man. Just give me somebody who's going to come to fight. Let's throw down for the president, right there on the White House lawn. This kind of opportunity, it ain't never gonna happen again. He finished by saying that no matter his age or timing, he's ready to step in. It doesn't matter if I was too young, too old, or right in the middle. If I get this shot, I'm doing it. There's no discouraging me out of this one. Masvidal's words have reignited excitement across the MMA world, and fans are buzzing about the possibility of his comeback in front of the most unique venue the sport has ever seen. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje has finally revealed why he rarely uses his wrestling skills inside the octagon. Despite being a former NCAA Division I wrestler with an impressive grappling background, fans have often wondered why Gaethje chooses to keep his fights standing and rely more on his striking. In a recent video posted to his Instagram, the highlight explained the real reason behind that decision, offering a rare and honest look into his mindset as a fighter. When asked about the most warranted and unwarranted criticism he's received throughout his career, Gaethje said both are actually the same. The fact that I come from wrestling and don't use it as much as you'd think is probably the biggest one, he said. And yeah, that's a fair criticism. I could have tried to implement it more early in my career, but the truth is I fell in love with striking. Coming from a wrestling background and never really being a striker before, it just clicked for me. I wanted to test myself standing up, throwing punches, going to war. Gaethje went on to explain that conditioning was also a major reason he chose not to rely heavily on wrestling. In college, we had 7-minute wrestling matches, and even after that, I could barely walk off the mat. Now we're talking about 25-minute fights. If I go all in on wrestling early, I'll gas out, and then I'll just get beat up for the rest of the fight. That's not how I'm going out. I'll never lose like that, he said firmly. He also mentioned that throughout his wrestling career, his biggest strength wasn't necessarily taking people down, but preventing others from taking him down. I was always the best at stopping people from taking me down, he added. That's why my defensive wrestling has always been elite. I can keep the fight where I want it, on the feet, and that's where I do my best work. Gaethje's explanation gives fans a clearer understanding of why the highlight has built his career on thrilling knockouts rather than grinding grappling matches. It's not just about style, it's about smart strategy, pacing, and fighting the way that feels most natural to him. Moving on to another news, Curtis Blaydes and Corey Sandhagen recently sat down together to talk about Tom Aspinall's eye poke controversy from UFC 321. In a new video that quickly gained attention online, both fighters shared their honest thoughts about the incident, agreeing that the eye poke looked especially bad when you watched it in slow motion. Curtis started off by saying, "Look how far it goes into his eye on that one. Slow it down." "That one looks nasty," Corey responded. "I know. At first I was like, I don't know, man. It didn't look that bad. But then when you slow it down, oof, that one looks bad." As they continued discussing, the two fighters dove deeper into the issue of eye pokes in MMA. Corey said, "I don't think there's anything you can really do with the gloves. I think some people just end up doing it more than others." Curtis nodded and added, "Yeah, exactly. Some fighters just poke people in the eyes more often, and honestly, it feels like they don't really care." Corey then brought up something he'd heard from other fighters, saying, "I've heard other guys like Derek Lewis openly say he'll eye poke you or kick you in the balls just to get a break." Curtis laughed and replied, "Yeah, but he doesn't have that reputation. He's not John Jones." The two laughed, acknowledging that Jones has a long history of being called out for accidental or questionable eye pokes throughout his career. Corey added, "I don't think I've ever poked anyone in the eye." Curtis responded, "That's because you've got really good hand placement." "Man." Corey smiled and said, "Honestly, I think it's just because I give a damn." I'm like, let me try not to poke this dude in the eye. The conversation then shifted back to the actual replay of Aspinall's incident with Ciryl Gane. Curtis pointed out, "It looked incidental. He was posting, trying to push off, but then it looked like he drove the fingers right in there." Corey agreed, saying, "Yeah, it looks bad. That slow motion angle makes it worse. It's one of those things where, you know, it wasn't intentional, but damn, it looks brutal." Both fighters wrapped up the segment by agreeing that eye pokes are one of those unfortunate parts of MMA that still don't have a perfect solution. They emphasized that while accidents happen, fighters need to be more careful and aware in the heat of the moment. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones continues to take shots at Tom Aspinall after the controversial eye poke incident at UFC 321. Earlier this week, Jones made headlines once again when he arrived at the Dirty Boxing ceremonial weigh-ins in Nashville, Tennessee on horseback. Normally, that wouldn't raise many eyebrows, but this time the horse was wearing an eye patch, clearly meant as a playful jab toward Aspinall and the way his fight with Ciryl Gane ended. Fans erupted with laughter and disbelief as Jones, known for his showmanship and ability to stir controversy, smiled and waved to the crowd while riding his horse into the venue. As he arrived, people could be heard shouting, "Jon Jones on a horse! The GOAT on a horse!" The atmosphere was electric. Jones, clearly enjoying the attention, responded with his trademark grin, saying, "What's going on, DBX4? I'm excited to be here. What's up, Nashville, Tennessee?" He added, "How do you have a better entrance than this to the White House, Johnny Bones? We got to do it right. We got the beautiful horse with the eye patch on. We're having a good night. The moment instantly went viral across social media, with fans and fighters chiming in on whether Jones's stunt was funny, petty, or just classic Jon Jones behavior. After all, Jones has always loved playing the villain and keeping his rivals guessing. The horse with the eye patch perfectly symbolized his ongoing feud with Aspinall, reminding everyone that the heavyweight tension isn't dying down anytime soon. Even though some critics called it disrespectful, others saw it as a brilliant and hilarious move from the self-proclaimed GOAT. As always, Jones managed to keep the MMA world talking and laughing at the same time. Moving on to another news, Renato Moicano didn't hold back when giving his thoughts on Tom Aspinall's recent fight with Ciryl Gane. During a passionate discussion, Moicano said he believes Tom quit and even went as far as to call Gane a cheater. Drawing from his own experience, Moicano brought up his 2017 fight against Brian Ortega, where he suffered a bad eye poke but still chose to continue fighting. He explained that even though his vision was severely compromised, he refused to stop because he didn't even know quitting was an option at the time. He recalled, "I was very young in my career. I got poked badly in the eye, couldn't see properly, but I just thought I had to keep fighting. The crowd started booing and that made me go back out there." Moicano admitted that the reaction from the fans heavily influenced his decision to continue, even though it wasn't the smartest move. When talking about Ciryl Gane, Moicano was brutally honest. He said that this isn't the first time Gane has been involved in controversial situations like this, and he believes the French heavyweight has a pattern of bending the rules. "I think Gane did that multiple times in multiple fights," Moicano said. "He's done this before. It's not the first time. I think there should be an instant point deduction for the first eye poke no matter what, and a percentage of the purse taken away for the second one. If it happens again, they should come for your money, brother." Money talks. Moicano made it clear that he doesn't think eye pokes should go unpunished, and that harsher consequences would make fighters more careful. He added, "Being completely honest about Tom Aspinall, I think Gane is a cheater. I don't mean it as an insult, but I have to emphasize what I'm saying. He's from France, brother, and I don't like France," he said jokingly, but the message was serious. When it came to Aspinall's reaction to the eye poke, Moicano didn't hold back either. He said he believes Tom could have continued, but made what he called a business decision. He explained, "If he was Ciryl Gane, he wouldn't have stopped because he'd lose his title shot, but since he's the champion, he's already guaranteed the money that comes with being a champion. So I think he could have fought, but he chose not to." Moicano did, however, admit that fighting someone like Gane with one eye would have been extremely dangerous. "Gane is such a good striker," he said. "To fight that guy with one eye is crazy, especially at heavyweight. You can get knocked out with one clean shot." Even with his criticisms, Moicano's comments came from a fighter's perspective, someone who has been through similar adversity and knows the mindset inside the cage. Moving on to another news, the long-standing issue of eye pokes in the UFC may finally be reaching a turning point. For years, these accidental fouls have frustrated fighters, fans, and officials alike, often leading to controversial endings and heated debates. But after UFC 321 ended in a no contest due to the Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane eye poke incident, the discussion around the rulebook has exploded once again. Many believe the sport has now hit its breaking point, demanding real and immediate change. Following the fight, debate raged across social media and among analysts. Some argued that Aspinall should have been allowed to continue, while others felt that Gane should have faced disqualification. But the larger question became clear. Will the UFC finally do something concrete to address this recurring problem? At the post-fight press conference, Dana White confirmed that a rematch between Aspinall and Gane is already in the works. However, the UFC CEO carefully avoided diving into the eye poke controversy itself or offering any solid plan to prevent such incidents in the future. His silence on that front left many fans speculating about whether the promotion is truly working behind the scenes on a fix. That speculation may have some truth to it. According to former UFC fighter Josh Thompson, changes might be arriving sooner than anyone expected. Speaking on his podcast, The Weigh-In, Thompson revealed that the UFC is preparing to roll out new measures, potentially as early as next week. He said, "There's going to be changes coming soon. I don't know what you've heard, but I've been hearing it since yesterday and today. This might happen by next week. They're looking to make these changes fast, and it's going to take things out of the referee's hands. The ref won't be able to make it a judgment call anymore. It'll be automatic." If Thompson's statements prove accurate, this could represent a major shift in how the UFC handles eye poke situations moving forward. Under the rumored adjustments, referees may no longer have the sole authority to decide what happens next when a fight is paused due to an eye poke. Instead, that responsibility could be shifted to an official review panel or even the cage-side judges. The goal would be to remove subjectivity from the decision-making process and ensure greater fairness and consistency when fouls like these occur. These reported changes couldn't come at a better time. With UFC Fight Night, Garcia versus Onama set to take place this weekend, fans might not have to wait long to see if the promotion's rumored new policies are put into effect. Whether it's updated gloves, a stricter penalty system, or a new review process, something significant appears appears to be on the horizon. If the UFC does move forward with these updates, it could mark one of the most important rule evolutions in recent memory, a long-awaited step toward making the sport safer and more consistent for fighters across every division. Moving on to another news, Rampage Jackson has proposed a major change to the way UFC bonuses are handled. During a recent episode of the Jackson podcast, Rampage was in conversation with TJ Dillashaw and Bobby Green when the topic of fighter pay and bonuses came up. The discussion quickly turned interesting as Rampage shared his bold idea for what could be a game-changing move for fighters across the organization. Rampage pointed out that with the UFC's new multi-billion-dollar deal with Paramount Plus, the promotion clearly has the resources to reward its athletes better. Reports have suggested that this deal is worth around $7 billion, but so far, there hasn't been any confirmation on whether fighter bonuses will increase as part of the new partnership. According to Rampage, the time for that change is now. He believes that the UFC should raise the Fight of the Night bonus to a staggering $1 million. He explained that such a move would completely transform how fighters approach their performances inside the Octagon. Rampage said, "If I was a promoter and had the kind of bankroll the UFC has, I'd up the Fight of the Night bonus to $1 million. They just made $7 billion more from this new deal, so they can definitely afford it." He continued by emphasizing how that kind of reward would motivate every fighter on the card to give their absolute best. "That's only $2 million more per event," Rampage added. "You're going to get more action, more excitement, and fighters giving everything they have because that $1 million bonus changes lives." Bobby Green and TJ Dillashaw both agreed with Rampage's perspective, with Bobby noting that for many fighters, such a bonus would be bigger than their entire fight purse. "That's what we fight for," Bobby said. "That million would change everything for a lot of these guys." Rampage echoed that sentiment, saying that fighters risk their health, their careers, and their futures every time they step into the cage, so the reward should reflect that level of sacrifice. The idea has quickly sparked conversation throughout the MMA community, with fans and fighters alike debating whether such a move could be possible. Rampage's point is clear. The UFC has grown into a global empire, and the athletes who put their bodies on the line deserve a bigger piece of the success they helped build. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.